To this day, one of my favorite mysteries of all time is the Voynich Manuscript. Have you heard about it? Let's talk. Good morning, everybody. My name is Rob. This is my mom, Karen. And not only do we talk about books that are normal to the thing you would have heard of, sometimes you come across some manuscripts that are totally and utterly just unknown, right? And that's part of the fun about reading and the history of books is a lot of times manuscripts from say the 18 or 1700s still kind of create a mystique for us today. And probably the biggest mystery here that many people may or may not have heard of is it was the Voynich Manuscript or Voynich Manuscript, depending on how you pronounce his name. And what makes this manuscript still so popular as a mystery is that to this day, medical professionals, scientists, and all sorts of other people in the science world cannot figure out what any of this has to do. So I'm going to teach my mom here and you guys as well a little bit about it. And we're going to go ahead and talk about kind of what our thoughts are. So this was discovered back in 1912 by an antiquarian book dealer by the name of Wilfrid Voynich, which is where the manuscript got his name from. This enigmatic book is written in an unknown script accompanied by strange illustrations like botany and people, astrological charts, and just some strange diagrams and shapes that, again, nobody really can figure out. Carbon dating, however, has been able to put it somewhere in the 15th century as when it was created, but still, linguists, historians, cryptographers have not been able to decipher any of the words. Some people think it could be an elaborate code, maybe used for war, maybe used for between nations. Some people think that maybe it's an alchemy manual. And a lot of people think it's just a really, really good hoax. And we'll talk about why those are different choices. But even some of the World War II codebreakers, you know those guys, the guys who were able to break all the codes, they couldn't figure this out for the life of them. And those guys are professional code breakers, right? So with all that said, to this day, and if you watch any of the shows on history, if you research this online, even to in 2025, people still are trying to figure out what's going on here. The content itself adds some more mystique as well. So some of the image we have are unknown plant species. We have celestial or star-like symbols that, again, we even have people of bathing. We have pictures of bathing people just sitting in bathtubs for no apparent reason. Which is one reason why some people think maybe it's a medical book, maybe it's an herbal book, maybe this was used to help cure people of various things. Some people think maybe this was created by an unknown civilization, a secret society, or maybe even extraterrestrial life as well. This just kind of makes it more, I don't know what the right word is. Mystery is the only word I can think of, but it just makes it more mysterious every time because there is no rhyme or reason. And I know, with you, when you're reading your books, you kind of have your genre of doing so, right?
Right.
And I'm sure there's that reason because that's what you do, that's what you know. And most people, again, with me too, most people will say they'll pick a genre because they can read it and they know what it is. I don't know a lot of people that would try to jump into this with little to no.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
what's curious to me is it would not surprise me if in the near future they are able to decode this because of artificial intelligence and the ability
Right.
to read this in a totally different way and gathering bits and things from all over the place. That wouldn't surprise me. That being said, it could just be this elaborate hoax. But here's the thing with that. It was back in the 15th century, you said?
They carbon dated, yeah.
Who does hoaxes back then? I mean, that's my right. We
So a little more back in the story. So the guy who found it came across it at a bookstore, and the guy who was selling it had, as far as we know, zero information. He had it on his shelf. The guy, this Wilfrid Voynich, who bought it, we don't know why or what he was thinking to do. He might have just been a book collector. He might have liked the kind of weird, mysterious stuff. Or maybe he really did sit down with a bunch of old paper and just started writing out gibberish. Very possible. It wouldn't be the first time people have conducted hoaxes, right?
Right.
Um, but with me and going off of that hoax side is that would be a lot of effort and work to make the biggest joke in the world that still is going on. It's one thing to make a
Right.
hoax that lasts for maybe a couple years, but this is a long joke. Like,
Right. Well, what is does he actually come up in any other historical stuff in addition to this particular?
For what I've researched personally, he's really only focused on here. I'm sure he probably had other parts in the world. I believe he was from England, I think. But he wasn't, as far as I've read, he wasn't anybody of importance in terms of government, in terms of king, queen, anything like that. He
Right.
was basically just a commoner who happened to really like books. But that doesn't mean that maybe he wasn't, and we just don't have a lot of info. But there's a lot of ifs and buts, and even putting aside some of the things of the unknown civilization stuff like that, it's amazing to me how something as simple as trying to decipher
Right.
words is still popular. And it may not be on everybody's mainframe today, but there's still a few groups of people that are busy in their labs working on trying to figure out
Right.
what or if this is something.
Yeah,
So
I mean, all you have to do is turn on the History Channel or Discovery Channel or National
exactly,
Geographic, and
yes.
they're all doing similar stories, right? It's almost like there's a place where they save and store all the stock footage that they've done from all over the place, and some because sometimes have you ever watched a show like this and say, did I see this? And then you
All the time.
realize
Yes.
you saw it somewhere else, but some of it looks really familiar, and then you also learn something new. I
Right.
digress. So, what do you think is the most plausible explanation?
I was thinking about this all week as I was doing the research. I mean, I like to think it wouldn't be a hoax. That seems like a really big waste of time for somebody to do that. I would say maybe it is some sort of mix of maybe science book with mysteries of the world. Maybe this is something where he was trying to encode a secret within the pages of what could be a medical book or a astronomy or astrological. But I think I believe the most plausible, in my opinion, is that it was made as a cover. It was made as a science book that he happened to maybe place some riddles in as well. And I feel like it's kind of what other authors have done, where you read the book, but then at the end they go, "Oh, by the way, did you catch that? What I wrote in there?" And then you have to go back and go, "Wait, oh, I." So I think it was a generally interesting. It would be an interesting book. I just, it's plausibility is so endless.
Right. And it would be interesting if we actually knew what it was, where we can guess, right? We're guessing as to
Yes, exactly. As far as I know, all the historians working on this, they have no specific.
interesting.
Yeah.
Makes me want to go do some research on it so I can be one of the many.
Well, actually, at one point, I don't know if they're doing it, but at one point, you actually could download pages from, I think, one of the colleges, and they actually allowed you to read. And if you found something, you would email them back and go, "Hey,
Oh,
this looks interesting." I don't know if they're still doing that because, again, it's not on the top priority. But I feel like if you were to look it up, I think you can find it online, so you could probably read it.
right.
But what you do with that info, I don't know. Maybe you can go to a local college and go, "Hey, I don't know if you guys have seen this or working on it, but you know."
Right. Well, I think it's cool. Guys, check out the next chapter bookstore.shop. You're going to find all sorts of cool, gently used books, science fiction, romance,
Maybe even a
historical.
mystery book.
There you go. There you go. Check it out because you know you want to. You know you want to. Let us know what you think. Do you have like an explanation as to why this happened? Let us know. Put it in the comments. Any last thoughts, Rob?
As long as authors will keep making mysteries, we will continue to be reading books.
Got it. See you later, everyone. Bye.